This is truly a win-win. There we go.
All right.
Well, with that, Governor Brad Little takes another $100 million more out of the state's revenue and returns it to Idaho's property owners and school districts. He signed House Bill 304 today in the driveway of a house on the Boise bench. A young family that's going to get the benefit of nearly 15% decrease in property taxes, which will be about $450 a year for the average homeowner. With that signature, $50 million is going to go to counties to reduce property taxes, and then another $50 million is going to go into an account for school districts to pay off bonds, levies, or pay for future school facilities. This would be the third tax cut bill this session, totaling $403 million. Meanwhile, how much are Idaho lawmakers paying to travel outside the Gem State? Or more specifically, who's paying for them to do that? House Bill 378 would require any legislative official to report any out-of-state travel paid for by someone else if it's a government-related event. Well, after some contentious debate a couple of weeks ago in the House, because, well, some considered this requirement unfair, it still passed. But today, the Senate State Affairs Committee sent it to the 14th order, meaning they want to see about making some changes to it. Senators were concerned about verbiage. Once again, in the name of local control, the bill to ban camping in public is now headed to the governor. Senate Bill 1141 cleared the full House yesterday. It would make sleeping on sidewalks or in the park or in a car or in an RV for any prolonged period of time illegal, but only in cities with more than 100,000 people. So basically in Boise, Meridian, and Nampa, if the governor signs it. And if they don't, if he doesn't, if they don't follow these rules, these three cities, they could get sued by the state attorney general for up to $10,000 for each incident. Any other city in Idaho, they could impose the same rules, but they aren't really required to do so. The debate was short yesterday, but focused on how much this bill doesn't do much to address homelessness or the reasons people might be experiencing it.
And so when we hear about encampments and the concentration of people who don't have safe housing and its correlation to crime, that's true, but don't let it scare you. These folks aren't coming into my neighborhood. They're not coming into the North End and victimizing me. They're victimizing one another because they're desperate.
Outdoor public spaces aren't the only spaces lawmakers concerned with. House Bill 264 would take Idaho's 2023 transgender bathroom law, which was just ruled to be enforceable just last week, and it would expand it beyond public schools to include colleges and universities, as well as women's shelters and women's prisons. All of those places would need to designate multi-occupancy bathrooms, changing rooms, and sleeping areas as either male or female based on biological differences. The bill, including colleges and universities and who is going to determine a person's gender, gave some senators pause.
We should not designate ourselves the moral police. We have made it illegal for a young woman to invite a young man over to her dorm room. It's none of our business.
It's just wild that the place we've got to as a culture, and we just heard that we're chasing down these culture war issues. I don't believe we're chasing them down. I think bills like this, we're actually pushing back.
So this is about protecting girls and women.
And it's hard to tell sometimes if somebody is a man or a woman. And that, therefore, the purpose of the bill is stated to protect women, but now you're potentially opening the door to harass.
Somebody also brought up the point of, well, what about local control? We're taking that away with this. But still, the amended bill passed the Senate 27-6, now heads back to the House to approve those changes. Okay, so the next space protecting or worth protecting, government entities, that could be government buildings. Yeah, we got to protect them against flags that don't, belong here, according to this law. Governor Little signed the flag bill ban for schools, but now House Bill 96 prevents the state, counties, or cities from flying flags on any of their buildings that are not the U.S. flag, the state of Idaho flag, or anything of military or tribal. There are exceptions for, again, university flags, public schools, and other country flags on special occasions only. But there were a lot of questions about this bill on the Senate floor.
Question of the sponsor, if you will yield.
Would the senator from 4 yield to another question?
Bill sponsor might yield to another question. Would the city of Bonners Ferry be able to continue flying the Canadian flag?
It's a little bit of a gray area, to be honest.
Would my neighborhood in the historic district be able to hang the flags in the photo if this bill were passed?
Some of the flags, yes, but some of the flags, no.
Would that be considered a flag?
In my judgment call in that situation, I see that more of as a sign than a flag.
More of a sign than a flag. Well, the flag bill passed with amendments. Now it heads back to the House for a review of those amendments before heading possibly to the governor's desk to, again, if he signs it, become law.